Hello, Praveen Garu. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Thank you for calling me.
Absolutely. I've known you for a while. I've also always wanted to do this with you.
Thank you.
How was Didac for you? How was that? You've been coming to Didac for many, many years now.
I have been coming to Didac for this is my fifth time
Right.
as a visitor to Didac.
Yeah.
It's more of the same, quite honestly,
Yeah.
right? But there would be few people that are interesting. So I did meet a couple of people that are really,
And I think it's a chance to meet your old clients quite a bit, which is a nice thing always.
which is always a nice thing to meet old people.
The reason I'm interested to talk to you is you come from a very unique space of also running your own school while also putting one foot in edtech. Can we learn a little bit about your journey? How you got into your school, how you got into edtech?
All started, I guess, about 2008 when I joined a company called Global Scholar
Right.
as a product lead with the product program lead. And we were building the world's first standards based curriculum information system. And that was the first cloud based ERP system for schools, right? And as part of the journey, I got to work with Marzano's lab, had research access to research from Marzano's labs, worked with a lot of schools in America, school districts in America.
Right.
And that's when I kind of got an interest in education, right? And I was also a young father back then. It's difficult to believe I was young at one point of time, but I was a young father. And then, I was wondering what sort of education does my child require?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when, I said, look, the schools are good, but they don't seem to be complete, right? And so I got into this space of creating a space in schools where children can discover that spark of innovation in themselves. So I work with technology in education. I'm not edtech. Right. So I'm a STEM curriculum developer.
Right.
STEM as a pedagogy is a passion for me. Unlike many players who look at STEM as, kids, I look at STEM as an approach to pedagogy, as something that you use in developing the curriculum. And that's when it started. As part of that journey, and also with Global Scholar, so lots and lots of schools.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, one next step could have, I felt we need to create a space where there is a decent school targeting the middle segment in the pyramid.
Right.
If you think of India, 3 layers of a pyramid, right, the middle pyramid, in my opinion, is vastly underserved, and that's the space I wanted to create.
Right.
So my journey in Kriya helped give that exposure to be able to go do it.
What came first? Was it your school or was it the technology in education?
No, Kriya, the technology in education. That was a 13-year-old journey.
Right. Wow.
In fact, if you add 3 more years at Global Scholar, that was 16 years before I started my school.
Oh, wow. Can you tell us a little bit about Kriya and what they do?
Kriya is a STEM curriculum provider to schools, right? We work with various technologies.
Right.
We build various modules around technologies at each grade level.
Right.
Children come into a lab that we set up where they work with these technology modules.
Right.
But the intent, in my opinion, is not to teach technology. The intent is to get them to work and build something of their own.
Right.
And in that process, develop 21st century skills.
Right.
And I think the key is why technology there? Because technology is a means to create something tangible for kids. And at that age, when you want them to learn something, it's important to give them something that they are able to relate to. They find quick joy.
Right.
Because it's that age, right?
No, it's the next gen. So that's what they want.
No, it's not the next gen. I believe I was like that. And you were also like that as kids because, there's this classic experiment, right? When you ask a kid, do you want to have a chocolate now or 3 chocolates tomorrow?
Right.
There is an experiment with marshmallows, right? But then the kid is more likely to take the chocolate now.
Right.
Majority of the kids.
Right. Instant gratification.
Instant gratification, right? And technology allows you to create something that you can see working, producing that magic.
Right.
And that's why technology is important. But otherwise, that space where they create, discover, challenge, make something, that's creative.
No, amazing. And what about the school? Tell us the journey of your school, when you started. What is it called? Where is it? And how the journey has been.
The school is in a God-forsaken place blessed by God. It's called Tirupati. Right. It's a town popular as a pilgrim center, temple of Lord Balaji.
Right.
It's where I come from. My parents are there, and I had ancestral property there.
Right.
Uh, and my father, it's a very interesting. He was like, you don't have roots here anymore. Let's do something.
Right.
I said, no, let's do a school because that has a little more meaning, right?
Right.
So we started a school. It's called Sattva,
Yeah.
right? Sattva comes from, as for Hindu philosophy, you have three gunas: sattvic, rajasvik, tamasvik. Purpose of education is to make one a sattvic,
Right.
right? Sattvic is a person who is empowered with knowledge,
Right.
has got the courage to use that knowledge,
Right.
has got the equanimity to use the knowledge for the right cause, and is balanced enough to use it without any reason, but just for the right reason that it is required to be used.
Right.
And I believe education should be that,
Right.
right? And so I chose the name Sattva.
Oh, wonderful.
And that's how it started.
How has the journey been? What is the student count in the first year, and where are you now?
We are a 4-year-old school. This is our 5th year.
Yeah.
We are about 1,000 plus students right
Oh, it's
now.
wonderful. Yeah.
Right? It was tough because when we started in 2019. And as you know, that was the year when COVID came in.
Yeah.
2000. And it's been a struggle, but it was also good because as a school, we empower teachers quite a bit with technology, right?
Right.
So when COVID struck, we were one of the few schools in fact, the school where teachers were most comfortable to adapt technology,
Right.
do online classes.
Right.
And, that kind of helped our brand and get admissions because we really did well with the online classes.
Right.
Unlike most schools in our region where teachers were struggling to adapt.
Right.
Right. And so COVID was, in some sense, and I shouldn't be saying this, but was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Right.
I hear a few school leaders say that. Now, tell me, what's your favorite thing about being a part of Priya, and what's your favorite thing about, being a part of Sattva?
Kriya is amazing. Honestly, it's very frustrating as a journey.
Yeah.
Right. You have to meet lots of people. You have to tell them all that. But there are times when you walk into that room, watch children, and they create magic. Right. And it's very uplifting. Right. I can give you lots of examples, but there is one where I felt this was the first 4 months of starting Kriya, right? And I had this kid in a summer camp in a very small town called Nandyal. I don't know if you know where it is.
Yeah.
Kurnool district, between Kurnool. If you're traveling from Kurnool to Tirupati, you'll find Nandyal. We had a school back then, Nandi Pipe School, and we were doing a summer camp. There were these kids who joined, and there was this little girl, 5th grade, 6th grade probably, and she was, not interested. Her parents forced us to come. So she was in tears and all that. I said, look, from tomorrow you don't need to come, but since you're here today, why don't you do something?
Right.
So this was a camp where they were building carnival rides and all that. So I told her, okay, go ahead, build a swing. And she built a swing following instructions, the swing that Jula, right?
Right.
And then I looked at it, and obviously this is with those Fisher Technique blocks, like the Lego blocks and all that, engineering mechatronic parts. They were all black parts, right? She said, I have an idea to make it better. I asked her, how do you make it better? And she said, I have an idea to make it better. I said, fair enough. So I went around, interacted with other kids, came back and said, how is it going? Sir, I made it better. To me, it looked the same, right? So I asked, what's better about it? I still remembered the look. It's what, 11 and a half years. I still remember that look. She gave me a look as I was the first class idiot in the entire world, and she said, this is more beautiful. You know what she did? The whole frame was black, and she replaced alternate blocks. The block, 30 block is black, and then you have 15 red block. So he replaced alternate 30 blocks with 2 red blocks. And so the frame is red block, red block, red block.
Right. Right.
And it taught me that when you look at better, don't look at it from your perspective. She's made it aesthetically better.
Wow.
That's also making it better.
Right. Right.
Now that magic is the best part of creating.
Yeah. It's very, very beautiful. And what about Satwa, what's your most beautiful memory of Satwa? I know it's quite young. I know you got through COVID, right? But what's your most beautiful memory there?
Well, Tirupati, like I said, is a small town,
Yeah,
right? Um, I always believe technology has to be integral to the school system,
right.
right? So I'm one of the few schools who insist that every teacher should get a laptop, right?
Wow. Yeah,
And then we gave laptops, had a huge struggle getting people to use it, even switch it on,
right,
right? And then over a period of time, it so happened the most beautiful moment was, in fact, last April, when our principal called for teachers to come submit their lesson plans. I have about 80 teachers, right? I mean, including the PE teachers, all that,
right.
66, 67. Out of that, almost 50 of them were working fluently, making PPT presentations. Now, PPTs are not great, but for that said, that was reluctant to switch on the laptop.
Yeah,
I felt uh, elated because I fought with my wife with the board saying that
yeah,
you need to keep the laptop.
yeah,
And that was my biggest fight. I mean, they were like, nobody is using it. Why
yeah,
are we spending money on it?
yeah,
I persisted, right? In fact, my wife warned me this last year,
yeah.
right? If they're not using it, we are taking it
Giving
off.
it back. Yeah,
She does a lot of work at the school. And I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
fair enough. But when I saw them do it, I went back to her room and said, you got to go see how many people are making PPTs on their own.
Right.
So that sense of empowerment, that
Yeah,
sense of getting them to adapt,
yeah.
it's still a very, very small step.
Such
But
a
I
big
believe it's a
victory.
significant step, right?
Yeah.
Because after that, the journey is probably smoother. It's
Yeah.
long, but smoother.
You've unlocked the hardest step already. Now, the world that yeah. The last question I have for you is one of the reasons why we are doing this is because after I came into education, it took me about a year to realize that this is probably where I belong. This is probably where I want to put my time. No matter how hard our journeys get, I'm talking to the edtech founder in you, right? No matter how hard our journeys can get, this is a place where I really feel like there's a lot of challenges, but we have a dearth of young talents. Right? When I was in corporate, for example, like I met all of these friends, all of these colleagues who even now they're okay taking a 1 year to find the right job that they have, but they don't realize the power and magic in education, what you can really do. Some people have spoken about the economic condition of education, people are not paid well. I understand all of that. Right. But India is building the best technology. India is creating some really innovative teachers, right? What is your message for young people who are coming, who are in various other fields as to why they need to come into education? What has been the most beautiful thing about education for you, which hopefully that they can take back, right?
EdTech, technology in education, new age curriculum, pedagogy, these are not new,
Correct.
right? In spite of all of these things, education at a very fundamental level
Right.
is a human to human interaction,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so ingrained in who we are as beings,
Right.
right? There is beauty about that interaction,
Yeah.
right? Um, I remember a conversation from my first engineering mechanics class when my professor walked in and asked us, why is your head round? Right? And we were like flabbergasted. I didn't know why my head was round.
I never thought
He
about
said,
it. Yeah.
why is it not cylindrical
Yeah.
or cuboidal, trapezoidal?
Yeah.
None of us could answer, honestly. He said, go back home, pick up your seventh grade mathematics textbook. The answer is in there, right? So went back, looked hard, and in one page, somewhere in the middle of the book, found one couple of lines which says, sphere provides maximum volume with minimum surface area.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where your head is wrong.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about it,
Yeah.
there is that beauty that suddenly comes out.
Yeah. Even
Right?
now, as us out of
It's-
school for 20 years. Yeah.
It is timeless, that beauty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You talk about music, for example,
Yeah.
right? How many of us realize that the ragas and talas in Carnatic music
Yeah.
have geometric progression,
Not many.
right?
Yeah.
There is that beauty that you need to find. Whether it's physics, it's biology, it doesn't matter. There is beauty in education, right? Now, if you're passionate about it, right, come here to discover that beauty. Now, if you come here for any other purpose, it's not worth it. Come here to discover that beauty. And when the child, whatever age, whether he is or she is 3 years old or 90 years old, the child in that person sees that beauty. There is a light that you see in their eyes go up.
And
that's the moment to live for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like the high, the epitome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Come for that. And those moments are few and far in between, but they are the ones worth living for.
Yeah. They're worth all the resilience you put in.
God has blessed me for few moments like that where I saw it.
Yeah.
And thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was wonderful chatting with you. Thanks.